I believe we're live. It looks like it at least, I don't know. So I didn't realise that, so usually I use OBS on here. And now it seems like it's mandatory to use a third-party streaming software, which is fine, but I wasn't expecting it at all. So hopefully everything will be absolutely dandy. Let's hope so. There's an incredible delay, so I'm just seeing the stream on the live stream. I think it's about 30 seconds behind, but that's fine. We already have someone here, Zalsta. Hello. In fact, we have 3 people here, which is really nice. So I haven't done a question and answer thing for ages, and I thought that I would do one today. Might be fun. So I've asked for questions in advance just in case nobody turned up and nobody asked anything, just to get the ball rolling, basically. Saying that I have 2 chats, but I'm only seeing 1, which is a bit odd, but hopefully this will all catch up. Like I said, I'm not quite used to the YouTube streaming thing, although I do a lot of them for the studio. I kind of do them in a different way, and there certainly aren't that many people asking questions, really, because it's mainly me just bashing away on things. But yeah, if you do have any questions, then please feel free to put them in the chat. I wonder if, what's this? There we go, live chat. I want to see all the messages. Yes, that's much better. Okay, right. I am going to start just by answering some questions that have been put into me before right now. Oh, here's Maya 60778. Hey it's Chris. How have you been? You're gonna have to be a bit more specific, Chris. I know a few, that's for sure. But hello, and it's nice to see you on here. Yeah, if you have any questions, then that's cool. Right, I'm gonna just start going into these questions and see how I go with them, basically. Right, so it's going to be a lot of me leaning forward, I think, because I have a spreadsheet. Love a good spreadsheet. So, right, the first question. They're all basically, apart from I took some off Instagram because I thought it was unfair. So some of them do have who they're from, but most of them are anonymous because they're just through my Google form thing. So what I'll do is I'll do one question that has been sent in from before, and then I'll look back and see if there's any questions live and do it like that, and we'll see where we get to and see how far we get. I'm going to stop rambling on and just get on with it. So the first question that I had, and this was the first one that came in within like minutes, and I love it. Right, have you ever started playing on stage and forgotten what you were playing? Now, no copping out of this question like last time. So I have a history of copping out of a certain person's series of questions, but I'm not going to cop out of this one. So, have I ever started playing on stage, forgotten what I'm playing? Yes. Loads. Like a lot. Basically, sometimes when you're playing a song, you just kind of zone out. You know, like when you're driving and you suddenly realise that you're at your destination, but you're not completely sure how you got there, and you certainly were not doing anything particularly consciously. It was all mainly subconscious. That happens a lot to me. So I will be in the middle of a song and I'm suddenly like, oh God, where are we? But the way that I deal with it is I basically just look around to the other musicians and see where they're headed for the next section, and I follow them. So that's how I deal with it. I just like follow other people and just watch them like a hawk. I'm quite good at doing that. I've had to do it a lot. I think it comes from going to blues jams actually, because it's a really good way of working out what's about to happen. But yeah. Oh, so we have Miss Hannah Dolan Davis, my sister, in the room, in the proverbial room, who is with her fiance Slava, who just got his visa to work over here, which is a big deal and it's amazing, and it means that he's here for good, which is awesome. It's been a whole thing. Right. Hello to you two, both of you, putting together their new shoe wardrobe. This is domestic bliss that they're dealing with right now, which is fun. Oh, Maya, Kristen Lewis, hello. How are you? I haven't seen you for a long time, and I haven't spoken to you for not as long, but a long time as well. How are you? Did you not have a little one? And by didn't you, like, that probably happened 8 years ago or something, and I'm being really late. But I hope you're still playing drums. I hope you are. Mike L. What's up? What type of videos do you make? Do you mind checking out my videos when you have time? Well, Mike, I make all sorts of videos. Mainly ones around drumming, and that can be recording drums, it can be talking about being a professional drummer, touring, just anything, waffling. I'm good at waffling, basically. And there is the man who I always cop out of his questions, and that is Matt Black. Hello, Matt. Did you hear my answer? You were the first question that I answered, so you're gonna have to go back and take a look. Basically, the answer is yes, all the time. I always lose my place. So hopefully you saw that answer, because that is ridiculous if you missed that. Right, Christian Hansen. What's your favourite indie alternative rock band? Christian, did you ask this on my form? Because I had a very similar question. My favourite, in fact, no, they were asking me what type of rock is my favourite rock. So my favourite indie alternative rock band. I'm not very good with pigeonholing bands. I don't know who would be considered indie alternative rock, but from my perspective, what that meant to me when I was 15, which is the band that comes straight to mind, it would be Radiohead. And I don't think they're considered indie alternative rock anymore, because they're pretty mainstream. They're certainly not independent. Well, they probably are, but they're huge. Indie alternative rock band. Yeah, I don't know. I'm such a one for nostalgia. So yeah, nightmare. Sorry, that's a lame answer. Right, Kristen Lewis. I'm good. She's 5 now. Wow, that's mental. You have a 5-year-old. Congratulations. That's so cool. And it's a girl. That's even more awesome. So she must be at school now, which is crazy. Matt Black missed it. Literally, Matt, you were my first question. I made a whole big thing of it. You'll have to watch it back. It's within the first 3 minutes of me waffling on. But yes, I lose my place. I basically start watching everyone else to find where I am. I cheat. I just go, oh, it's like that thing. You just lose your place and just have to suddenly go, oh, I should be concentrating right now. But anyway, go watch it back. You'll find it. Right. Ben Honeysett. Huzzah! Just made it. Have you got a favourite genre? Good question. I did a interview earlier today for a podcast, and the interviewer, he asked me about if I had a favourite genre, and I was like, you're gonna hate my answer. I love all music. It's just a musician's thing, isn't it? You just love music. But the thing that ties in, I don't care what genre it is, if there's good songs, well-written songs, are everything to me. Good lyrics and good instrumentation, and if I connect with it, then I just go with it. But genre-wise, I mean, I'm always going to go for the more rock-orientated stuff or blues-orientated stuff. But equally, I like all sorts. I really do. As long as it's a good song, that's basically my whole vibe. Good song, don't care about the genre, basically. Okay, so Christian Hansen, yes I did. You follow me on Instagram. Yay, we love a bit of Instagram. No, that's the right answer. Good, I'm glad you like that, because I feel really bad when I give sort of answers. They just seem sometimes so lame. I'm so sorry. Okay, right, next question. Oh, how funny. Okay, so the next question is, which I assume is from the same person, do you like indie alternative rock music? Yes, I do, definitely. I like all music. Right. I'm biased towards rock, but could you tell me your favourite drum intros to a song ever? Well, obviously Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll is always going to win that battle, because it's so iconic that it's just in fact, a lot of their songs, thinking about it, you just can't not go, oh my god, that is the most insane intro ever. Yeah, rock and roll, you can't, as soon as you play it, everyone knows what it is. Everyone. There aren't a lot of modern songs, I think, that are like that in that same way, aside from obviously songs like Billie Jean. See how I say that's a modern song, but obviously it's not. Right, so that is that. I always say every band has at least one good song in them, bar the Cheeky Girls. So funny. That is true. I agree. I think every band does have one good song, and it might not be your cup of tea, but I guarantee it's probably a well written song, or at least get in your brain, which is kind of the idea, I guess. Oh, I've just lost my page of questions, which is really useful. Okay, hold on. Right, next one. What's your most hilarious on stage moment? Okay. I must say, I must preface this with I haven't really looked at these questions. I did just scan down them, but I haven't actually thought about any of these answers, so this is really off the cuff for me. Most hilarious on stage moment. It was always pretty funny slash scary slash mental when I was playing with Tricky, and we used to have a stage invasion twice in the set where he would just start inviting the audience on stage, and we would have like 100 audience members moshing on stage, and yeah, it was terrifying. It was pretty hilarious sometimes, just watching them and trying to sort of keep your drum kit together whilst everyone's jumping around. That was pretty fun, but it was pretty mental. Hilarious in hindsight. We got bottled off stage at V when I was playing with Cher Lloyd. Poor thing. It was really awful at the time. Actually, she was so upset, quite rightly. But yeah, we had bottles of stuff, wee and drinks thrown at us. That was fun. Again, like I say, in hindsight, I mean, you look at her now. Wow, she is just so successful and she's having a great time over in the States. So I'm so happy for her. She's such a sweetheart. Right, Joe Perkins. Joe Perkins. So if anyone doesn't know Joe Perkins, he's an awesome guitarist. He's an awesome songwriter. Has this whole like YouTube series, basically reviewing guitar pedals. That's the basic thing of what I've seen of it. But recently he did this whole series of making a song completely from scratch. I was involved in it as well. It was just an amazing series, so go check him out. He's on here now. Joe Perkins, he's awesome. Joe Perkins Music. I think that's his URL. Right. Free Tree for Me. Love the rock and roll answer with Zepp. I mean, you can't go wrong with Led Zeppelin in a lot of scenarios. They've just, I mean, it's insane. They're ridiculous. Right, Christian Hansen. Have you heard of a rock band called Our City Fires? Check them out on YouTube and Spotify. They're absolute legends. I haven't. I'm like an old lady. I don't know anything that's pre like late 90s. I'm useless. Like I can't even express to you, or if I do, it's very few things. Right. I will check them out though. Our City Fires. Okay. Right. Free Tree for Me, who I feel like you've done your name on purpose to make it difficult to say, which is fine. Did you find Howard Jones to be an interesting conversationalist? Oh God, yeah, he's an incredibly interesting, intelligent person. He has such amazing views on so many different things, and obviously he's met so many different people, and his whole family are just fascinating, actually. And obviously we spent an immense amount of time with all of them, especially Howard and his wife Jan, who is like an absolute angel. She's one of my favourite people on the planet. And yeah, no, he's a wonderful conversationalist. He's yeah, very enlightened, I'd say, because he's a Buddhist. I don't know if people know that, but I'm sure people do. But yeah, he's wicked. He's really such a lovely fella. Unfortunately, I'm not getting to do any shows with him this year because I was already booked up with Kim. But hopefully next year. But he's got his new album coming out in a couple of weeks, and he's doing a tour in the UK, so and in the States. So if anyone's around, go watch him. It's a great show. In fact, they're in rehearsals today. Random fact. Right. Christian Hansen again. Right. What's the most funniest thing you've ever done as a musician? It's really interesting, the sort of funniest things, because it's such a subjective thing, and I don't think I'm very funny, so it's hard for me to say funniest thing I've done as a musician. I'll tell you the weirdest thing I've ever done as a like the surrealist thing, definitely 100%. When I was 20, I went and did a gig out in New York with this band called The Hours, and it was in 2008. You can see how old I am now. And we went and did this show, and at the end we were doing an encore, and at the encore we were doing a couple of Beatles tunes. We'd already done our own set, and Bono from U2 got up and played with us. Bizarre. And in the middle of one of the songs, he comes bounding over to me and just starts hitting my crash and being really like all happy and energetic. And I was like, this guy's so lovely. Like, he was really sweet and just, yeah, it was really good fun, but very, very, very surreal. Like the most surreal thing. Right, Bruce Payne Jr. Hello. What's your natural hair colour? It's kind of mousy brown. No, not brown, like mousy blonde. You can probably see my eyebrows. They're kind of like mousy, very dull, very dull. So I think a bit of like blonde is more interesting, at least for now. Maybe I'll dye it some other random colour at some point. Right, Chris St. Louis. Right, what are you saying? What would your advice be on getting a rehearsal room / space on a budget? Good question. So when I was finding rehearsal rooms and stuff like that, I used to want to go and practice in drum rooms for hours, but I had no money, like, well, barely any money. But what I'd do is I'd find rehearsal rooms and then book them out during the day, during the week, and go and talk to them and see if they could do me a special rate. And usually they would. So like, it would be a 6-hour booking and it would be like, I don't know, 20 quid or something like that. But I would say to people, like, a really good way of doing it is to go and ask to get a job at a rehearsal room. Like, if you go there, rehearse for a few hours and then work for a few hours to pay for it, it kind of works out in everyone's interest, and you can make friends with people, and just when there's downtime, and yeah, there's ways around it, but it's kind of difficult. I always remember that being such a thing. Find a friend that has a drum room. That really helps. So my best friend Cherie, she built a studio a long time ago, when maybe 10 years ago. So I used to go practice around her house, bring her like cookies or something to pay her in kind. But yeah, I'd say try and, like, there are a lot of studios now that do these special drum rates, which are usually tiny rooms just with a drum kit, but it's fine if it does exactly what you need. So hopefully that helps. I hope it does. Joe Perkins, lies. I don't lie. I never lie. I saw that video for Joe Perkins. I think you did the drums for him before. Yes. Was it the instrumental one? It was. Wasn't it a cool song? Joe is an amazing, amazing songwriter, and just such a joy to play with. I have a real thing about guitarists. I think it's because I grew up and my dad's a guitarist, so a special impression was put on me about guitar sounds and tone, and I was brought up listening to the world's greatest guitarist, basically. So I really appreciate when I do hear someone that really has spent a lot of time on their sound. And not only that, but their feel and their placement. And Joe, since the first time I ever heard a song of his, I was like, oh, you know what you're doing. It was such a breath of fresh air. And since then, we've sort of become friends. And we met up when we were doing the Kim Wilde tour last year. And he's just such a nice fella and a great musician. Great musicians? No, not. He's not two people. He's one person. Great musician. Joe. Ben, she did the drums. She did drums were easily the best part of that one. Oh, bless you, Joe. I'll send you the checks in the post. Right, Ben. I'm heading back into trying the drums. Have you got some top tips or do's and don'ts for newbies / intermediates? Going to be on E-Kit, hopefully. Any thoughts on Alesis versus Roland? That is a whole big old question. Okay, so first bit. Have you got any tips, do's or don'ts for newbies, intermediates? Right. I'd say know why you're doing it. That's always a good one, because I might give advice to someone who's a newbie or an intermediate, and they just want to do it for fun, which is an incredible reason to do something. But I might start giving advice as if they want to be a professional, and that is two completely mismatched things. So find out why you want to do it. If it's for fun, I'd say the top tips are keep it fun. The main thing is try to get to a point where you're relaxed when you're playing, so you don't injure yourself. Because I injured myself really badly when I was a teenager, because I was playing really stiff and things were in the wrong place, and I didn't realise, and it was ever so slight tension, but it ended up making all of my shoulders lock up to the point I couldn't actually play. So I'd say, yeah, and just find things that are fun, especially if you're getting back into it, because it can be slightly disheartening if you're getting back into something and you're maybe not at the level as when you left, and that is quite heartbreaking. But just like be patient with yourself. The other thing in terms of going on an e-kit, excellent. I think that's great. Thoughts on Alesis and Roland? I don't, because I have only ever played Yamaha. Um, so I play with Jonathan Atkinson, who also is the other drummer in Kim Wilde Band and Howard Jones Band, and he always tells me that Alesis are like the most rock solid kits. Basically, he still uses a Brain from the 90s when he can, because it's so rock solid and just perfect. Like I say, Roland, it's fine. It's a very high end. I find them very expensive kits. Um, and I personally just don't like the pads on them because they're kind of that mesh head thing, and it doesn't feel like drums to me. That's why I like the Yamaha ones, because they're kind of like silicone. So you have a bit of like, I don't know, it's just you can dig in a bit more, and I just like the feel of it personally. It's just my personal preference. But do you know what I'd say actually? If you can, go to a drum shop and go try out some different electronic kits and just see which one feels best to you. Like, don't worry about this person or that person saying this and that and the other. Just go for what's right for you, because it's always going to be something slightly different to someone else. And I'm always a firm believer in that. Also, in getting things that do the job for what you need it to do. So maybe don't get the 10 grand Roland kit, because do you need the functionality that the 10 grand Roland kit gives you, or do you need just a couple down, or the basic one, or it just depends what you're doing. So sorry, that's an awful answer, but I try my best. Benjo, it's a great tune. Yes, it was. Okay, Bruce Payne Jr. Do you like getting your toes sucked? No, go away, Bruce. That's very, very inappropriate. Dutch Widows. Hey, Dutch Widows. So they have made, they've used a couple of, or maybe only one actually, of these drum loops that I used to do a while ago. And yeah, amazing band. I won't say who they are because they want to remain anonymous, but they are called the Dutch Widows and they're awesome. So go check them out. Do you have a view on the use of technology in a live situation? Is there a point where it crosses from putting the music across to fairly to misrepresentation? So I think technology is really, really, really useful in a lot of senses in live situations, purely because, well, a number of reasons. Firstly, I have this thing about songs being played at the right tempo, and the right tempo being the tempo that it was recorded at, that people listen to the song, that people expect it to be at. Because it's funny how just a few BPM either side of that can really ruin a vibe. Either it's rushed and people are like, oh god, what's going on, or it's too slow, and people kind of just like, oh god, what is this? So I think it's really good for like fail-safe for things like that. It's also great for being able to bring in sounds that you can't recreate live. And there might be a random kind of, I don't know, smashing of a water can, watering, like a flower watering thing. Uh, it's not good to be bringing a watering can on stage and sticking a mic on that, because that is another channel and the chances are it's just going to sound awful. So to be able to recreate that from the record sound, so people really get the vibe of it and they get to experience it in the way that it was intended, I think is incredible. I think, of course, there's always a sliding scale of how much you want to use versus not use, but I think, yeah, I think it just depends on the gig. I mean, gigs like, for instance, Howard, fully electronic. So aside from Robin Bolt on guitar, who kind of brings that live element to it, I'm playing essentially like a stand-up electronic drum percussion setup. Johnny Atkinson is purely electronic drums, but they're all sounds from the albums. So you're always going to get the vibe, you know what I mean? It's just I think technology is a great thing if you embrace it. I know a lot of people don't, and that's totally fair enough. The other thing is it's completely subjective, and you're not going to go in playing like a Deep Purple tribute and use electronics. That makes no sense. So it has its place, definitely. I like it for many reasons, but again, I play with an artist called Joe Burt. We never use electronics. That would be ludicrous, because it's kind of like a rocky 70s vibe. Like, it's just not appropriate at all. Right, free tree for me. Absolutely the best, Emily. Truly enjoyed all the stories. Please give my friend in country music, George Ducasse, some love if you can. Thank you. Okay, George Ducasse. Rob Davis, you've asked this on my form. I remember seeing this. Have you ever sang on a song? And if you haven't, then you have a doppelganger who has asked this on the form. Have I ever sang on a song? Yes. So, when I was in the darkness and we recorded Last of Our Kind, I was recording the drums. We'd done all the drums, but I was there for a few days, and they were like, "So, do you fancy doing some like backing vocals?" And I was like, "No, like why would you?" And they're like, "Oh, come on, like just try, just do." And anyway, I ended up singing on Mudslide. What others? There was a few. In fact, they'll say on the notes. I can't even remember. I just remember a lot of kind of screaming, cracking up, laughing, um, and the boys just being incredibly supportive and like trying to help me to be a bit more confident with it because I was so embarrassed. I was just like, I'm not a singer, like, and I don't even know you guys that well, and you're making me sing. But they were really, really cool. I ended up just screaming a lot, I think. But yeah, if you check out Last of Our Kind on that album, I think there's 3 tracks. Maybe Barbarian. Oh, Open Fire. I definitely did something there. Um, oh, I think I did something on Roaring Water as well. Like I said, I really can't remember. I wish my memory was better. It's just horrendous. But if you check out on the album notes, it will say there. Okay, right. Joe Perkins. Loved your tip a few weeks ago about thinking in grooves. Even if you're just playing to a beat, as it helps to build in feel. Oh yeah, been doing that a lot recently. Really works. Thanks for the tip. My pleasure, Joe Perkins. So I was just talking about rather than sort of playing to a click, like play as if there's rhythm within that. So there's more to it than just ding, 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 ding. It's like ding, ding, sort of like that sort of vibe, basically. Ben, what are you saying? Blimey, is there any cool band you have not played with? Plenty. I think bands are less cool once they've played with me. Or once I've played with them, I should say, that's the right way around. So if you could or could have played with any bass player, bar the amazing Alice Offley, who would it be? Okay, so Alice Offley, I've known Alice for a long time. We've known each other since, I want to say 2009 maybe. We did this one-off random gig together, and then we ended up doing Tricky for a little bit, and most recently, I mean, she's gone off and done this amazing, she's an amazing actress as well, but we last did some Thompson Twins gigs together, and it was so amazing to catch up. She's one of my favourite people. So, in terms of bass players, there's a wonderful bass player who's out with Paul. Oh my God, 80s artists. See, I told you, all these 80s artists, we all like congregate. 80s. Paul. Oh my gosh, who's the singer? Amazing singer, incredible singer. Anyway, his bass player is a guy named Pat Davey, and yeah, he's one of my favourite people to play with. We play together on the Joe Burt Experience, the guy who was with Black Sabbath, and he played with Freddie Mercury and Sector 27 and Tom Robinson and people like that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe my brain is not working. Paul, someone please. Paul Young! Zalster! Oh my God, you're completely saving my life. Yes. Sorry, my brain doesn't work sometimes. But anyway, yeah, so Pat Davey's amazing. Who else is there? There's another fella called Vinzenz Benjamin. Again, he happens to be on the 80s circuit. That's not how I know him at all. There's an amazing bass player called George. And then there's bass players that I'd love to play with, who hopefully I will do at some point, like Pino Palladino and wonderful, amazing musicians like that. So, I've got a list of people that I'd love to play with that I haven't yet. Right, so let me go back to my spreadsheet because I haven't been back there for a while. Right, can you make Joy Division drum/percussion samples? Basically making a speciality type sounding drum sounds of a certain sonic character. Weird question, I know. Not weird, but incredibly specific. I probably could. I think it would take me a long time, but I do know the perfect person that would be great at making sounds like that and would love to do it. And that's Jonathan Atkinson. He is, like I say, the drummer with Kim. So we both play with Kim and we both play with Howard. He's currently actually doing this Ministry of Sound gig, which is incredible. So if you get in touch with him, I bet you he would be more than glad to make some sounds for you. If you go to, I'm going to guess this and just say JonathanAtkinsonDrums.com, but just look up Jonathan Atkinson and he'll sort you out. And yeah, I don't know what he charges, but you can chat and he'll be fine. Who have we got here now? Talis Dream. Oh no, Tails Dream. Slightly dyslexic, can you tell? Tails Dream. Hello. See channel on YouTube, Vinny Play records. I don't know what you're talking about. Trap. Are you sub to PewDiePie? No, I can't even say his name, so no. Right. Is it much more difficult to mic single head toms versus double head toms in a home studio environment? Do you know what? This came in and I realised I've never played on single headed toms, so I really wouldn't know. My guess would be that the sound would be way more live and difficult to not tune, but to get a nice resonance. I don't know is the actual answer, but I'm quite happy where I'm at with tuning with two heads. So I'm kind of going to stick with that until I get bored with it, which hopefully will be not for like 50 years because, yeah, it's taken a time to get to a point where I'm happy with tom tuning. Right. Oh, that's it. Right. What does your favourite evening look like? Great question. Well, that depends on where I am in the world. So so always, get some good food in there, definitely. And then I don't know, like hanging with my friends and my family and my husband, and I don't know, maybe a walk down a beach somewhere would be nice. I live nowhere near the sea, but I do love the sea. I used to spend my summers in Cornwall with my family, so I have a real love for like the coast and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that'd be fun. Or I love walking down the river. So in London, down the River Thames at night. In fact, any river. In fact, any city at night. I just love. One of my favourite evenings of my life was walking around Barcelona um, at like 4 in the morning, and there was no one around, and it was just the most beautiful thing ever. So either that or driving by myself as the sun's coming up. So yeah, I like many things in the evenings. Right, besides the UK, what is your favourite country? I have many. So most countries I've visited, like if you look at it as a percentage, the majority of the countries that I've ever visited, I've probably only been there for definitely no more than 48 hours, but probably more like 24 hours. Um, so it's hard for me to say. The countries that I've spent longer in that I love are Japan. I love Japan. I was over there at the end of last year for 3 weeks, just doing a solo trip, just walking a lot, walking around Tokyo for 3 weeks, basically, getting blisters on my feet. Where else do I like? I love Ireland. I have family from Ireland, so it always feels like going home. I love some places in the States. I've got friends in upstate New York. I love upstate New York, although the winters there are just grotesque and too much for me. I've got family in Canada, but if I've got family in a place, I'm gonna love it. So yeah, family in Canada on the East Coast as well. Where else do I like? I like to go back to Peru. I'd like to go back to Colombia because those places really stuck out to me, and I'm not sure why. In a really nice way. Where else? Italy. I love Italy. Oh my gosh, love Italy. Okay. Oh, and Spain. I love Spain. Right. Let's see if we've got any more. Right, Dutch Widows. Have you ever mic'd a snare only on the bottom for a gig? Oh, a sound engineer once insisted on it and refused to move the mic to the top. Was he right or were we? Well, I'm not a live sound engineer, so I can't tell. And I've never had just one mic on a snare drum because for recording that doesn't quite work. What I'd say is it's hard to tell who was right or wrong and whether that is even a thing because I think it really depends on the room, because if I'm just trying to think logically why you would, like, he obviously had a reason, or he, and refused. Okay, was he right? Yeah. So he obviously had a reason, because that is a very specific thing. So maybe it was just that the drum was tuned in a way that there was no snare sound coming from it. So maybe it sounded like a tom. So he's just trying to get that to make it sound more like a snare drum. It might be that. Uh, I don't know, and I don't like the right and wrong thing. I feel like he obviously had a reason, and it might not have been anything to do with the sound of the drum, but yeah, that sounds slightly odd to me. But as I say, I'm not that experienced in live sound miking. But I've never had an engineer do that. But what do I know? I have no idea. Right, Ben. Are you going to be watching Eurovision this May? So much fun. I can't stand Eurovision. I'm so sorry, but you enjoy it for me, because at least somebody enjoys it. That's perfect. I think my sister watches it. Hannah, if you're watching this and you don't, I'm so sorry if I've either outed you or just said that I have. Right. Peter! Hello! Peter here from Canada. I was going to say Canada. From Canada. Sorry that I'm late. Hello, Emily. Hello, Pete. I was just saying how much I love Canada, because I have family there. I find that the audio feed is really low. Is that just me? I don't know. But you could be right. And I'm just going to switch it up. So now it's louder, and I hope that that's loud enough for you. Fingers crossed, because that's the loudest I can go. Or I'll talk louder. No, I won't start doing that. Right. Would it be possible to watch this later? Yes, I will put this feed later, put it up online, so if you miss anything or you need to go, then just go. It's totally cool. I won't take it personally. What is the single most useful piece of advice anyone has ever given you? Okay, so, oh guys, let me know if the thing is, sorry, the feed is low apparently. Oh, I'm totally ruining this. I should have set up an actual microphone. So I apologise. I will make sure that I do next time. So anyway, getting back to the questions, because that's really thrown me off. I'm so sorry. Yes, single best piece of advice. So in drumming or music generally, two things. The first piece of advice that I always remember is from my cousin. Now, he's a bass player. His name is Nigel Mogg. He played in a band called the Choir Boys for years, and I always remember him saying to me, when I said I wanted to be a drummer, he said, okay, cool, great. Just remember this one thing that my uncle told me, and his uncle is Pete Mogg from UFO, and he said, nobody said this would be easy. And that was his piece of advice to me, and I always kept that in mind. When things got hard, I just thought, okay, nobody said this would be easy. Okay, nobody said this would be easy. So I try and keep that. The other bit of music advice, which is the best bit of advice that I give to everyone that I can, basically. So I give it to you, was given to me by Billy Ward. He's a drummer from New York, upstate New York. He's an amazing drummer. He's played with like Robbie Robertson and, I mean, thousands of people, but for some reason I always just remember Robbie Robertson because I'm a huge fan of the band. And he said that the best thing you can do to improve your playing as a musician is to record yourself and listen back, basically. And I started doing that, and it's the single best thing I ever did for my playing, like, bar none. It's just amazing, like the best thing ever. In terms of life advice, there's something that my dad always used to say. I'm not sure if he still says it, probably. And that is that there's always an excuse not to do something, so you may as well do it. And I think that's a really good piece of advice. When I catch myself sort of like going, oh, well, I can't do that because of X, Y, Z, I just go, oh, there'll always be a reason I can't do it. Let me just go do it. So that's a good one. I really like that. Right, so I'm very sorry about this microphone situation. I can better it next time. That's all I can promise, because I can't set it up quickly enough and without too much horribleness for you guys. But I will see what I can do. Right. Better. Oh, good. What else have we got? Right, AC/DC versus Guns N' Roses. Who is better? AC/DC all the way. Love AC/DC. Okay. Oh, right. So this is one from Instagram that I got earlier. This is from at boldaslove22. So he is asking, how do I grow my Instagram? Since losing my job, I want to be more active. So I'm still learning about social media. Like every day I'm learning. It's such a confusing thing. And I know they're always changing things about it, so it's kind of difficult to keep up. But as far as I can tell, kind of for me, it's consistently putting out stuff that I feel is going to hopefully help people or inspire people, or yeah, that's what I try and do. And then using hashtags that I think are relevant and people can hopefully find useful stuff with. And then going onto those hashtags and seeing what other people are putting up and maybe commenting and maybe following a few people or liking a few photos. So it's being very sociable, funnily enough. I guess it's called social media for a reason. Okay, right. Here we go. Another one from, this is from the Supersonicals. So they say, when did you start drumming and did you have an idol? So when I started drumming, I was 11, and when I first started, I had two idols really, but the first was definitely Neil Peart. I say Neil Peart, people say his name differently, and I never know how to say it. I say Neil Peart from Rush. I heard him play on YYZ on a live. It was a live album called Exit Stage Left that they did, and I completely was floored, and I was just like, oh my god, this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard. The second was Bill Bruford playing with King Crimson live in Japan. My dad had a VHS and I used to just watch it over and 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 over again, and I was completely obsessed with him and his playing, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And apparently, side note, it's the Supersonicals' birthday today, so happy birthday to you. Oh, this is another one from them. What do you think about Ed Graham and Rufus Taylor? Oh, that's a nice question. So Ed, for people that don't know, Ed Graham was the drummer for The Darkness before I joined, and Rufus Taylor is Roger Taylor from Queen's son who joined the band after I left. I love them both. I think they're great. So Ed, I particularly like because obviously when I joined the band, I was studying his playing, his parts. I was replicating them. I was putting my own spin on them, but I was staying true to what he plays and what he recorded. And they really are. I mean, they're a quarter of the song, obviously. And yeah, so I love Ed Graham. I hope he's well. I hope he's sort of playing still and happy. And yeah, I haven't met him actually, but I'd really like to. Same with Rufus actually. I haven't met Rufus, but he seems really cool. I don't know that much about Rufus, but from what I can see, it seems like a complete match made in heaven. And he's up there just like having the time of his life with them boys. And yeah, it's really nice to see. So I'm glad they're out. In fact, they're out in December doing a UK tour. So if anyone's around, go see that show. It's one of the best live shows you will ever see. Like 100%. They're amazing live shows. So go see them. I think they've got an album coming out as well soon, actually, as well. Right, what was the start of your professional drumming career like? It was professional. Okay, let's say I became professional, I suppose, when I left school. And was in covers bands. It was hard. It was a lot of work. It still is a lot of work. It was amazing though. I was earning a living. Not a great living, but I was earning. I was travelling to all ends of the country. Sort of I'd leave my house at 2 PM and I wouldn't be back till like 5 AM and unloading my kit, and the sun was coming up, and it was and continues to be. It was tiring, but it was amazing. And it was a lot of grind. It was a lot of just trying to break something, to get to the next level, playing with more people. And it was this thing of trying to get a lot of momentum. which eventually did work. But then I sort of lost momentum, and then I'd gain it back, and it was this sort of back and forth thing. Now it's a bit more structured, I suppose. It's kind of different now because I have the studio, so I can put my time into that when I'm not touring, and it's definitely different. But it is difficult, and it's just about getting your name out there and getting known to people, basically. Right, who else have we got kicking about? Balu Viraj. Hi, go. Hi. Right, Ben, what's the next big thing you have planned musically that you're really looking forward to doing? Well, I guess it's the festival season that's coming up. So it's all about Kim Wilde this summer, this year. So we're doing gigs in far-flung countries basically every weekend, starting from the beginning of May, middle of May. And then aside from that, it's just studio stuff, which is every day. Like, this sounds so lame. Every day in the studio is like so exciting for me because every day it's growing, and like I'm meeting new people and playing with new artists, and yeah, it's such a it's uncharted territory for me, and that excites me massively. So yeah, right, Peter Bata. I have a mid-70s Ludwig Octoplus kit. I was wondering what you thought of single top skin toms, and have you ever had an occasion to play such kit? This must have been you, Peter, that asked the question about tuning single versus double-headed toms, which I did answer. But the short version is I've never played. I don't think I have, at least that I can remember. I've never played on a single-headed kit, so I have no idea what it's like miking it and how it is. But I don't know. To me, like anything, as long as you've got something that you like the sound of, it does what you want, it does what you need, and you enjoy it, and it feels good, great, go do it. Like, go play on a cardboard box if that makes you happy. Right. Okay, another question here from Fossil Sound Studio. Do you prefer 22, 24, 26-inch kick drum? I like all of them for different reasons. My go-to is always a 22, but when my first 10 years of playing, all I played on was a 20, because you could fit it in a car better. Go figure. I do have a 26 Yamaha 9000, which is like one of the first Yamaha 9000s to be made, and that sounds great. But actually, like, what's the word? Ergonomically, it's not ideal because it's so high. It means the toms are super high. And it's not very comfortable to play, so I don't often play it. But my go-to is a 22, like, all day long. Right. Dutch Life, 1987. What is your favourite movie? I have many. So I saw this and I thought, I'm going to think about this for a second. So I've got a few. Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. I love Hayao Miyazaki. I think he's a wonderful director, animator. I love him. There Will Be Blood, I think, is an absolute masterpiece. I will watch that over and over again for the rest of my life. I love that film so much. I think Daniel Day-Lewis is a phenomenal actor, and I'm very sad that he is now retired, apparently. He may well come out of retirement, who knows. Another one is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Love that film. Fight Club, I think that's an incredible film. What else? Yeah, anyway, those are a few. Love them. Absolutely, I love films. That's one of my things I like to do in the evening, is watch a film. What did we watch yesterday? Oh, we watched Hall Pass. That was a funny film. That was just madness. Right, another one from Dutch Life 1987. These are some bizarre questions. What do you think is a sexy song? I'm going to go with either... Oh, I can't remember the name of that guy. This is going to be an annoying reference because this isn't why I know it, because I've known it since I was a kid. Oh, what's his name? It was the song that was on Friends when Ross and Rachel got together and they were in like my words are failing me today. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, there's that song, but look up Pony by Genuine. That's a good song. Right. Favourite drum fill to play? One that ends on the one and I haven't sped up. That's a good one. Right. Does it help your profile / business to give away free monthly drum stems? Yeah, I think it does. I think it's a nice way to give things to people, because I think that's a nice thing to do. I do like to help people, and if it helps them write songs, amazing. Also, I think it's a really good way to showcase what I'm creating at the studio without having to book in with me, without having to pay money. You can literally just see, oh, do I like the sound of that? Do I want that on my music? Yeah, great. No, cool, all good. Like, there's no bad blood, there's no vibe. It's just like, yeah, cool. Let me showcase to you what I can do. So it helps me as well because it makes me want to get everything even better. Like every month, I want everything to be just a little bit better, just a little bit better, and yeah, just keep going like that. Basically, I've always been like that. It's crazy. Do I like Queen? Yes, of course. Who doesn't? In fact, Queen is one of the first songs I ever remember hearing. I can't remember which song it was, but I think my parents used to play one of their albums, probably like their best of or something, when I was a kid. And I remember we used to live in a flat. I remember being in the the like kitchen, dining roomy bit, whatever. It was a kitchen with a table in it. Being at the table, I think getting my hair done and hearing Queen. Random. Right, let's go back to the live questions for a second. Peter Bata. Thanks, Emily. My pleasure, Peter. Ben, if you could build your own supergroup, who would be in it? You're killing me here. Okay, I'm not going to include myself, although, will I? Maybe I should. Okay. Levon Helm on drums if I'm not in it. If I am, he can do vocals because he's great. It's just because I want to hang out with him. Jimi Hendrix probably on guitar, and maybe BB King as well. There's a bass player called Mark Smith that I never got to play with, who I'd love to play with, so I will put him in there 100%. That or James Jameson. This would be a very bizarre band. Who else? I don't really know. Who would be singing? I'm really into John Paul White at the moment, so maybe stick him singing. Oh no, Neil Young, obviously. Neil Young singing. And well, everyone can write the songs together, but I don't want to be involved because I'll probably ruin it. Right. What else we got? Chris Isaak, Zalster. You're like my hero today. This is the second time you've saved me from my own brain not working. Yes, Chris Isaak, Wicked Game. That's the other song that I like. Right. Peter, what are your thoughts on sub kicks? I really like them. I have one. I have this Solomon kick because I tried to get the Yamaha one. They don't exist anymore, or at least they didn't when I tried to get hold of one. So I have a sub kick up in my studio, and I definitely think it adds to the stems that I send out. And people, I've had a couple of people come back and go, "That sub kick is amazing." So love sub kicks. I don't see any reason anyone wouldn't. Dutch Widows, we love your drum stems. Yay! Thank you so much. I'm not going to tell anyone who you are. Zalster, Wicked Game. Yeah, that's the one. Zalster, you're like I say, you're my hero right now. Adam Stanley, Heidi Ho. What's your current or all-time favorite air drum song? Oh, that's a good one. Do you know what? This is good. This is so weird, and I haven't thought about this for years. So, has anyone here ever watched the film Me, Myself, and Irene? It's with Jim Carrey, and he's a schizophrenic, basically. And there's this song that starts playing every time he turns, and me and my sister used to love this song, and we used to play it so much. And I used to air drum to that, and that brings me so much. It's like and then it goes into this crazy yeah, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but wow, I haven't even thought about it in a long time. That's a great song. So there you go. That's my air drumming song. Can't believe it. That came to my head. Peter Bata, a little off topic, sorry. In case you haven't seen it yet, this is a must see. Jeff Beck's Still on the Run. So inspiring. Cool, I will check that out for sure. Okay, right, what else we got on my list? What do you do when you get tired of the grind? That's quite a good question. So my go-to move when I'm exhausted and I'm just like, you know what, I'm on overload, I can't deal with this, is I go for a really long walk. More nature-bound, the better. It just kind of resets me. I can just think through things, get a clear head. I do work out not every day, most days, to have that constant way of sort of like refreshing my head, because I'm very good at getting overwhelmed and overworking myself. So I really have to watch myself. In fact, that's actually part of the reason that I stopped doing these so frequently, was because I just was doing way too much and it was totally burning me out, and I just needed some me time. Pardon me. I needed some family time. I needed to get a life, basically. Because yeah, I mean, drums have been my life since I was 11 years old. So yeah, weirdly, right now I'm trying to kind of find things to take myself away from the grind and relax, and have other things. Oh, cooking. It's a massive one to help me relax and stuff like that. But yeah, just stuff to kind of reset my brain or give me some good perspective. That's always good. But yeah, I've been pretty good at kind of managing it generally day to day, which is quite good. It's only taken me 30, almost 2 years. Right. What has been your greatest struggle in the music industry, and how have you overcome it? My biggest struggle was, and is, but I'm kind of found ways of dealing with it, is being out of control, not being in control of my destiny, if you like, having to rely on other people to work, and basically basing my self-worth around whether the phone is ringing, which is a really, really bad situation to be in. The way that I overcame that, I mean, it's taken me years to work this out. That was what was happening. I was just feeling really bad all the time, and I didn't know why. But I kind of worked it out. The way that I combated that was getting hold of my own thing that I had control over, the studio. Also giving back, doing the videos that I do to sort of like just let people know about my experience. I find that really, really good for me. It's amazing to feel like I'm helping people, because sometimes you can feel like such a self-indulgent person, and I don't like that at all. Says the person talking to a camera, essentially, in a room by herself. Yes, the irony of that is not lost on me. What else did I do to combat that? Yeah, just kind of getting other things, like ways to get away from drumming and music, just to get perspective. I think perspective is everything in this life, and that's not just to do with music. I think that's to do with everything, and just recognizing how lucky we all are to even have found something that we enjoy that much. So yeah, right, let's go back to the live. I'm coming up to an hour, and I said to myself that I will probably only do an hour. So oh cool, okay, we don't have any comments live, so that's good. Right, I think we're almost at the end of the questions, actually. Great. So how prepared are you for recording? For example, composition slash improvisation percentage. That depends on the track. So sometimes I get given a track with guide drums. So obviously for that, I will just add a flavour of what I think it needs, but I will generally kind of stick to whatever they want, because that's what they're used to hearing. That's what they're hearing in their head. That's their whole vibe. I'm going to respect that always. However, if it comes to me and there are no guide tracks, no guide drums rather, then I will go with my gut. So, in terms of preparing for the actual recording, all I do is listen and write down a structure. Everything else is kind of on the fly, from my gut, from my heart, from my experience, from my soul, and it all comes down in that 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is. And then that's my starting point. And that can then be me listening back and just going, oh no, I don't like that bit, but I like that bit. Or it can be the whole thing just going, yeah, that feels great. And then sending it to my client, and if they say, actually, I don't like this, that, or the other, then I'm like, totally cool, I just went with my gut. Equally, they can go, absolutely love it, and I'm like, awesome, we're on the same page, cool. So it just depends, but generally speaking, in fact, in life, I try and go with my gut. Right, from 1 to 10, what's your opinion of Open Fire? So that is a song by The Darkness that we recorded. I love that song. I think it sounds incredible. I think the guitar, when it starts, is just so brilliant, and then when everything comes in, it's like this force. And yeah, I say this all the time, but I genuinely mean it. I am so proud of Last of Our Kind. It's such a it's such a great album to have been a part of, and I consider myself incredibly lucky. Right, this one just says Dave Grohl ? Yes, Dave Grohl. I want to be his friend. If you're watching, Dave, give me a shout. Let's go for a beer. I don't drink beer. I'll have some wine or a gin and tonic or something. You can have a beer. Okay, this is the last one, and if there aren't any on the comments, I'm gonna go. Right. So get your last questions in if you want to, but if you don't, I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to go and eat some chocolate. Right. Have you ever thought of putting your own band together and getting Brian Ferry or Tricky to guest by Mad Bohemian Poet? That is funny. Have I ever thought about putting my own band together? Yes, I've had fleeting thoughts of that, but then I remember that I'm not very good at writing songs. I think if I ever did put my own sort of band together, it would be an unusual stage show type thing with just me. As for getting Brian Ferry or Tricky to guest, I think they're pretty busy, so I'll probably leave them to it. But you never know, I may well see them out on the road, which could be quite hilarious. Right, I think. Oh, we've got one left from. Is this even a question? Thank you so much for the Q&A. Back off to my paintings. Ooh, good luck. Keep rocking. Enjoy the festival season. What paintings? I've just had a painting that I bought in Tokyo. It's being framed right now, and it's literally going to live up here. So I'll have to show you. It's amazing. It's this calligraphy done on Japanese paper. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I fell in love, and it was just an absolute nightmare. To send over here. It was crazy. Right, but thank you, and enjoy the festival season. I shall. Joe Perkins, thanks, great live stream, thank you. Enjoy the chocolate, I always do. Zalstar, thank you, Zalstar. Thanks, have to get back to work, but totally enjoyed the video. Thank you. Alright, cool. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Thank you for, some of you actually stuck around for the whole thing. I really appreciate it. But yes, go back to doing your things. I hope you have had a lovely evening. I'll continue to have a nice evening. I'm going to go and relax and eat some chocolate. And yeah, I'll do another one of these at some point because this was so much fun and I really, 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 really appreciate the company. Otherwise, this would just be me talking to myself. But anyway, yeah, have a good evening, have a good week, and I shall catch up with you soon. Alright, see you guys later. Bye. This is where I have to work out how to end the stream. Awkward.